That was some jamming music. So we've got some new testing that's done, a new series that's going up, and some work going from continent to continent. Let's all do this on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Jim McCleary here in Waverly, Ohio, and it is dark already. Can you believe that? And this is about why old guys are ginormous pack rats as far as golf fitters and golf repairers. And that's what What's in My Drawers came from. What was in my drawers in the shop. And it's turned into a worldwide talking and question and answer session. It's been really fun. So if anything good came out of COVID, maybe it was this. And so that's what we're going to do. So starting off, we always, there's 3 or 4 categories that we got to cover, right? What we saw on the tour, what we saw in the shop, a couple other maybe hot topics if there are some, and we'll go right there. So before we get started, if you would like, subscribe on this particular channel. That way we get more, you will get more of these videos when they drop. And we get our channel seen across YouTube a little bit better. So we get that message out there. Number 2, PGA, the Hero Challenge, Victor Hovland. Dude played some solid golf. And if you notice the top 3, it's names that we keep hearing, right? We hear Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns. This keeps up. Those are guys we're going to see at the end of the year during those FedEx Cup challenges. So hopefully they don't burn out, and we see them keep up the good work. So that's a great thing. Number 3. Let's go with number 3. Second series. I didn't release it on Saturday like I said I would. I apologize for that. And I just wasn't sure if it looked as good as I wanted it to. And as it turned out on Sunday, I had all kinds of time with videoing and editing and all kinds of stuff like that, thanks to Mrs. McGolf leaving me alone for a bit. And we started just going through it, and I thought it was good enough. Now, the great part about that is that I'm actually ahead of the game with that guy, and so those should keep rolling. And for those of you that saw it and commented on it, thank you. I was really quite surprised that there's a lot of folks out there in the same category that I'm in, or they're in the same thought processes, and it spans a lot of age categories too. So this ought to be really unique. This could be a lot of fun. I don't think it's grueling by any shape of the imagination, which makes it easier to do, right? With all the when you hear things about, in order to do better, or you hear about golf, it takes too much time, it does this, it does that, and all those become our excuses. And so far, what I've experienced is that it's not that bad. And for a guy with my schedule, which you'll find out in the series, if I can do it, you guys can for certain. All right, so there's that one. Number 3, and let's get to it. Some work in the shop. This one I really quite like. We fit an 83-year-old golfer. Yeah, I said it, 83 years old. And this guy still got some swing, right? He was throwing that driver out to right at 200. So 83 years old and throwing it out almost 200. Guy's got a great little swing. And we fit him about 13, 14 years ago, I think it was, when he was in his spry late 60s and was pounding the ball back then. I have since fit his son and his grandson, and they all hit the ball a country mile. So I think their golfing gene must be strong in that family. So here we go. We started with this. This is going to be a change for him. We went with Jumbo Max, the Jumbo Max grip. So we went with that because, so he doesn't have to squeeze nearly as hard. He was already into a jumbo grip to begin with. I went a little bit bigger, and his eyes got bigger. He said, "Wow, these are really great." And he's very handsy. He's a hands-oriented guy. At the very end, it's one of those, and this is going to accelerate it. So I think we're going to be good there. Then we put him into some Acra 50s. Acra 50s, the Acra I Series 50s. These are a really nice shaft. You know, of course, most of their stuff, if not all of it's made in Japan. And this 50-gram shaft just did the ticket. And we tested weight. There was other weight categories, and he just mashed this one. And we ended up putting him into those guys, some JPX Hot Metal Pros, and not Hot Metals, but Hot Metal Pros, because he found the middle of the fairway. In fact, little baby draw. So that not bad, right? The guy's got some game, and I asked him while we were fitting. I said, "Hey, can you still beat your son?" And he says, there's been a couple of times, and what happens is when the race gets tight, he starts crawling into his head, and Dad pulls out a hat trick on him, so not too bad. So I like that. That's pretty good. I'm glad he's doing that. The next one is going to be probably one of the most traveled sets I've ever made, and we're going to start with this. Some Srixons. And where they come from, we'll call them Zx7s and Zx5s. All right, so these are what you see at the top, I believe those might be the 5s, and then the rest of them are 7s or the other way around. And what he did is he had a whole set. So we had this 2 sets, and didn't quite like him, and we made him a set of Wilsons that he just adored with some KBS shafts, KBS TGIs in them. And he wanted to know if we could, put some in these, and we certainly did. Well, he sent us not only a whole set of the ZX7s, but 4 ZX5s in case he wanted a split set. And we made sure all the lie angles and the loft angles were right where they needed to be, and he did pretty good with that. Now, the reason why I said most traveled is these guys they're leaving Canada almost directly north of us, and by a couple hours, obviously, and they're going to Boca Raton, Florida. So these guys are moving and shaking. So what did we put in there? Like we told you, we put in the TGI 95s in there, right? Good looking shaft, good shaft when it's all put together. And then we used some red MMCs, and he sent those to us. And I said, "Hey, real nice setup you got there." And he says, "Yeah, that was purely by accident." So, guy's got a good sense of humor. So we got that. So we did that one. So we also just sent out a set of wedges. I redid a set of wedges of Volky Wedges raw finish. I haven't seen that one in a long time. Almost thought they were a different kind of a make. And I put in some Dynamic Gold X7s. That's kind of a rare beastie, and made 3 wedges out of them, and put a mid-sized grip on. These things were monsters, and those are going to Arkansas. So we've had Canada, Florida, Arkansas, locally here. Oh, and we are sending I made for the Canadian folks, a Zx5 Driver with one of those shafts in it. It turned out really nice, a good lefty club. So not too bad. All right, so what's coming up? What's coming up in videos? I got a bunch of, like I said, I got a bunch of videoing done. Along with that series I'm talking about. What's coming up tomorrow is the difference between, let me get them. We did a comparison of that to that. All right, the utility hybrid or utility iron versus the hybrid club, and really neat stuff. We talk about the construction, talk about the differences, and you'll see how they landed and all kinds of stuff, what their uses are for. Kind of interesting. There's certainly 2 different kinds of clubs, but that's tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And then on Saturday will be the workout one, and then we'll go from there. Now, to finish up, and I did a review on this that'll be coming out the week after. I got one. The Zx5 Driver, right? I got one. And on my Zx7 review, everybody was like, oh, the 5 is, the 7's for the better player. The 5 is for the guy that needs a little help, yada, yada, yada. And that was based on the iron. If you go to their website, it doesn't say that for these guys. They just talk about the differences in MOI and that, but the construction is very, very similar in material. The shapes are different, right? And I would kind of go the other way, guys and gals. Now, from the shape, if you just look down on top of it, and from the shape, the bigger, more elongated shape, yeah, the 5 would be a little bit more forgiving from that point of view, where the 7 has a slightly more compact shape at address. However, personally, I think the 7's more forgiving. All right, and I'll tell you that one in the video. So we had a lot going on. A lot of builds, a lot of fittings. I fit a gentleman from Marietta, Ohio. Was in the Navy, hoorah. He was on subs, hoorah. And during the Vietnam War, although I wasn't there, hoorah. And the dude was in his 70s, just retired, and we put him through his paces too. So it didn't work out too bad. All right, so we got all that done. Let's go and see what people want to talk about. All the way to the top. Boom. All right, Kurt Evans is number 1 today. Hi, Jim Rahman. Hello. By chance, did you check if Mizuno had B-weighted T21s? Yes, we did, and no, they don't. If not, B-weight 233 gap wedges will be available on Friday. Want to order one? No, they don't. They one weight, man. That's all it is. And we did check, and no, that's just one weight. I think they concentrated more on the finishes because they have what would be the raw finish, and then the regular silverish finish, and that new denim. And the new denim is very, very popular, I will say. We are selling them even as we speak. Matsky, how are you doing, sir? Shot a 70 and 43-degree heat wave on Saturday. Oh, good gravy. You are the man. Question, how much practice time do you spend on chipping and putting? I usually spend 75%, and my scores have continued to drop. Well, I'd like to say I do the same thing, but I would be lying. And honestly, I need to, right? I need the specifically in the putting. Chipping, as time goes on, my chipping got better, and that was from confidence. Now, as the old saying goes, right, chipping or short game's the first thing to leave and the last thing to show up. And and the reason being is when you go to the range, like the one I've got out here, when you go to the range, what's everybody do? They grab a bucket of balls, they grab the big dog, and they start swinging like they're coming out of their shoes. No, right? Just no. If you would start from the bottom of the set, you don't have to hit every club in a bag. Take a couple wedges, get loose. It puts the right rhythm in your mind. Then go up to some mid irons and do the same thing. Then go up into the hybrids or fairway woods, whatever you like. Then do the driver, and you get way more out of your session at the range than anything else. Now, when you get it all done, because everybody wants to hit the driver, you go there with a purpose in mind, whether it's going to be wedges or whatever, and just work on that. And yes, a lot of people should work on their short game because you just have to be deadly inside 150 if you want your scores to go down. Emmanuel, how are you, sir? Thank you for commenting on the other video. Jim Rom shot 87 last Friday, birdie 18 in the dark. Now, Paul, you left yourself wide open on that one, man. Wide open. And I know what you're going to say, right? Now that I've told you that. And hopefully you're laughing with me about your game being in the dark, sir. Oh, well, good for you, man. Hopefully it's coming back around. The therapy's doing good. Let's get you going. Danny, what's going on? Checking in from cold winning Hannibal, Missouri. Yes, missing it already, right? Me too. Okay. Well, thanks for checking in, sir. Kent, there you are. There you are. Well played, Matt. Yes. Practice under 110, different targets, different shapes. Yeah, so exactly right. Exactly right. We've made targets out of what they call EMT tubing here, and it's basically very, very strong conduit pipe. And I've had from other net setups that I've had, they got the corner pieces and they fit in between, use little set screws, and you've got a square. Well, you get the ones that are triangles, so they've got three pieces. So you got two that go like this, and then another piece that goes straight down, so it looks like that. And then the bottom piece turn into legs. And then and then what I do is I put netting in it that I've got spare of, and then Miss McGolf and I go get pool noodles, and we get the bright colors so that you can have a target. And we've got 3 of them out there so people can try it out. Emmanuel, what do you say, sir? If I have a set of AMT ascending mass shafts in a set and each shaft is 3 grams heavier than the previous one, will it affect the swing weight by 3 grams? Well, it also depends on how much you're cutting off, Emmanuel. It does get heavier, but it also is getting shorter. I don't, are you going to go up, a swing weight and be like a D0 to a D9? No. What it is that it will be a continual acceleration is what that is. We've had some in here, and we've had swing weight changes as much as 2 or 3, and that's about it. But when you're also talking about mass, it also talks about where you're putting the mass as well. So in some cases that you'll want to have a more kick, where the other one will come up and be a little bit more stiffer. So they don't fluctuate nearly as bad as one would think. Kurt, you are not lying. You need to see him chip. The man's a genius. Charles, how are you, sir? Glad to see you back. We're back with it again. A Glenfiddich 12 this time around. Matt, what do you say? Thanks. There you go. Willard, what do you say, sir? What's going on? Just sitting here watching with the ice water machine on the knee. Oh, that's right. How long for fitting after major surgeries? Well, sir, there's 2 things. Number 1, you have to be okayed by your doctor. Okay, you have to be okayed by your doctor. Now, you think that's funny. I had a guy in here that was fresh off of rotator cuff surgery and was off doing therapy for, it was inside of a month. And he was all about, yeah, I'm ready to go. And I said, well, of course, we ask if there's any major medical issues so that I know to watch out for that kind of stuff. And he says, oh, yeah, I just had rotator cuff surgery. You did what? Rotator cuff surgery. And I said, so did your doctor release you to go and do this golf swing? No. Our fitting's over. And he says, what? And I said, I'm not going to be the cause of you getting hurt because you're excited about this. You can come back and do it anytime you damn well please, but not this one. You need to relax and get this therapy done. Boy, oh boy, he did not like it, but he came back, I think it was about a month later after doing that, and then he was released and ready to go. That's number 1, released and ready to go. Number 2 is when you believe you have your trust back into that. Now, what does that mean? 99 times out of 100, most of us will let something wear out horribly before it gets replaced, and sometimes at the recommendation of our doctors, whether it be a rotator cuff, a knee, a hip, whatever that. And what happens is that we start making swings based on trying to protect the thing that hurts. And when you go get it operated on, you have what I would call ghost pains. And these swings are still being made to be protective because now it's familiar. And so now when we go through these fittings, I'll ask stuff like that. And I'm like, are you still hurting? No. Then why are you still doing that? Oh, and we'll start, it's almost like you can hear joints creaking because they've never done that before. And, okay, Jim story time. This is what leads me into Jim story time on this one. Whenever somebody asks me what's the most I've ever gained a guy in a fitting on a driver, and I will say 150 yards. 150 yards, right? And this gentleman came in very, very tall. He's like 6'6", 6'7". Says he can't hit his driver over 50 yards. That seems kind of odd. I said, well, show me. And he swings, and he's not swinging hardly outside the width of his shoes. He's almost like he's chipping. And he says, that's all I can swing. And I said, so I'm looking at him, and he has this big old scar on his neck. And I said, have you had any surgeries? And oh, my gosh, Pandora's box of list of surgeries from spinal fusion, neck, knee, shoulder, this, that, and the other thing. And so I asked him, I said, are you done with all that? And he says, yeah. I said, when was the last one? He said, like a year and a half ago. Huh. I said, okay. So I said, take your address. And he said, now bring that club back. And I grabbed that club and I pulled it back. And I've got him about 3/4 of the way back. And you could hear him breathing in. And I said, did you hurt yourself? And he goes, well, no. I said, feels different, don't it? Yep. I said, now swing through. And I ran around the other side and grabbed it and pulled him up down the other side. Another breath. I said, now hit the ball. And he hit the ball and it went about 1 1/4, which is just, tremendous, but in distance gain. So we did it a couple more times and I took him up to a full swing. I said, now swing it like you mean it. And he threw one out to 200. So I'm claiming 150. Did I do much? No, I just got him out of his comfort zone. So there's the story. Mrs. McGough is going, please stop. Was watching a ball test on other channels. Amazing the difference in spin with different golf balls. And you would be right. Right? You would be correct. It's amazing what the cores, the mantles, right? Because each one of those things is the spherical part is a mantle. How the thickness, the durometer, the density, all these different things come into play on the way that a golf ball reacts. And then the cover, what the cover's made out of, and then the dimple patterns, and how they're made that just affect the ball. It's crazy. It's NASA level kind of stuff. Emmanuel chipped 100 shots today, 50 one-handed to 35, 50 with both hands to 50 yards. Do that 2 times a week. Dang, Emmanuel's getting serious, man. Don't ever get him on a $5 Nassau. Can agree with you more. A perfect round would be to miss 18 greens and get up and down all 18 times. Yes, it would. There's Kurt being talked to by Mrs. McGough. Jake Benth. Hello from South Texas. How are you, sir? What's it like down there? Are we still in the 70s or is it 80s still? Jeff Ridgway. It's been a while. I've been on to watch. Well, I'm glad to see you're back, bud. Hopefully you have a great and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Well, thank you, and same to you guys. That's what we're looking for, right? So where's a good question that you can put in the show notes and down there, or in the questions, the responses? I think they're down there. What's going to be your favorite golf gift? What are you looking for? One item. If you had one item to improve your golfing for next year, what would it be? What would it be that you would want in your bag? All right. Doesn't have to be a golf club, but what would it be? Would it be a golf bag? There's something. Let's see. Bob's on. My buddy Bob, he's on there. Bob Robbins been looking at condos again. You need to get Penny to talk to her. Travis K, Jersey. What exits is that, buddy? I just had to ask that one. Any advice on where to go to restore wood heads? Well, Golfworks used to they have a restoration section in their catalog. How much they are doing right now, that's still up in the air. Two other places that may do it. Well, one may, and try Louisville Golf. They make wooden clubs. I don't know if they're restoring wooden clubs, but they make them. So the fact that they're making them, they very well may restore them. And the other one is you need to look up David Bass. David Bass is a guy that he showed me. He was a senior to me when I was going through the Professional Clubmaker Society, and he's still out there doing it. Super nice gentleman, and he's taken to restoring woodwoods, and you might be able to get a hold of him. And it's not Conquest, but it's Conic Golf. But look up David Bass Golf PGA, and I believe he's in South Carolina. You might be able to find him there. But those are the guys I would look for because he does really good work. Mike Engel, how are you, sir? Danny agrees with Matt. That's where my scores have been higher in the last few weeks, not leaving chips close to the hole. I would say. Hello, Jake in Texas. Are you making fun? That's interesting take on it, Matt. I gave it a try once our weather picks up, or if it ever does. Is it a bit blustery over there, Kent? Jeremy's up here watching on Facebook. Darren, how do you dial in a preferred sand wedge up or down to a specific frequency with the raw shaft if the club can't be cut to length yet take the swing weight? How do you make this happen in a dry fit? All right. All right, Darren. So I dial in a preferred. Okay, how do you dial in a preferred swing weight up or down to a specific frequency? Now, number one. Okay, when I saw preferred SW, I thought you were talking about sand wedge, so I was going in a whole different direction. All right, how do you dial in a preferred swing weight up or down to a specific frequency with a raw shaft if the club can't be cut? If the club can't be cut to length yet, take the swing weight. How do you make this happen dry fit? Okay, so Darren, what you're talking about, if they can't be cut, I see where you're at. Okay, so what you can do is you don't cut the thing to length, but you do a frequency at the proper length, right? And because the shaft sticks out of the holder. So if this is the clamp, it's nothing to set this far out, and you're measuring right to here, and you're doing a frequency to it. So it's to a specific length. Okay, it's to a specific length. And once you get your frequency, right? Once you get your frequency, now you're okay. I'm good to go there. Now on your swing weighting, you're going to have to know whether or not you're adding weight, because taking weight off sucks. That means grinding, and all of a sudden you're going in places that you really don't want to go. And back weighting, just for the sake of swing weighting, I don't agree with. However, if you have to add, and we use the trusty rule of every 2 grams is one frequency. So if you had to move up 4 frequencies, you need 8 grams. Okay. And so if you knew that you needed to add it, so this now work it backwards. If you knew you had to add 8 grams to get to your target swing weight, you need to be, without that weight in it, you need to be 4 grams higher, or 4 points higher than you think you need to be in. Okay. And that's how you do it. And that's how I do it during the dry fit. You get it in there and you got to tweak it, and you can do that. Now there's another way. Once you got it all put together and you put in your frequency, you can tape, right? You can tape the weight to the top. It's not very flashy and it's not very scientific, but it is hands-on, basically straight up what you're looking at. Mr. Bob, there's my buddy. We're getting closer, bud. When Robin found those couple of these things, it's looking pretty good for us. We're looking pretty good. Jason, what is going on, sir? New Orange performed great despite a rocky start. I finished with my personal best for the year. Jason got some new clubs and he's doing good. That's what we want. Charles, in his neck of the woods is across the way. I'm guessing they have, but Kent's a pretty stout individual, so I expect to see him with a toboggan on and a nice puffer vest and being out there getting ready to get after it. There's David. How's it been, buddy? I haven't seen you for a bit. So when it was all said and done, now that we're at the end of the year, how did the putter line work out for you? I'm having trouble with the name. I know it starts with an S. Seymour Putters. That's it. How did those work out for you? Let me know. There's Robin talking to a lot of folks. Oh, there's Krister. Extreme cold. Now, when Krister says something about being extremely cold, take note, right? This is the guy that talks about doing it. So did you run your 4 kilometers in the extreme cold? You're reminding me of a Rocky movie now. Let me know. Yep, there we go. Look at that. We all know. Now even Charles knows about the shoulder now. Really cold Michigan. Did the snow, Dave, did the snow stay up there that we saw? That would be cool to know. Darren wants to know if you could show this when somebody requests a preferred swing weight, need tip weighted correct lengths to perfect frequency. Love to see the vid. I did in an earlier one. I allude to it. We'll put it that way. I don't show it exactly that direction, but I give some direction in one of the club making videos that I did. So we'll go from there. All right. Now we're all wondering whether it's below freezing up there. Had to stop running for a few days because of the cold. Do some home training with rubber bands instead. So I will say, as a guy who did weightlifting his entire, I won't say like professional weightlifting, but when we worked out, you worked out with weights, i.e. weightlifting. Okay. From somebody who did that from a very young age, I thought rubber bands were a joke until I started doing this workout. I can tell you for certain they are not a joke. Ooh, -15. Yeah, you got the extreme cold in my book, bud. All right. And his shoulders healing up. We're good to go. There's Kent. We've had a course shut down with snow a couple of times. Oh, my. I got hit badly with some storms, though, and lost a good deal of the trees. Oh. Man, that's a heck of a storm there, bud. We don't like the trees coming down. John Pinola, how are you, sir? Glad to see you back. Richard Dutcher, have a few problems with ferrules, okay? Being really difficult going on. Watch your videos and you don't seem to have any issues with any tips. And thanks for military service. You are very welcome, sir, and thank you. All right, so ferrules, they can be quite trying. So the first thing that I do is I apply a little of epoxy to the tip, and on the tip of the shaft. We'll use the iron. So what you do is you'll put a little epoxy on the tip of the shaft, which is sitting up in here, right? And then when you put that on, it acts as a lubricant in order to get on. That's number one. Number two is once you get it on to a certain extent, if it doesn't want to push on easily, what I'll do is I'll put it on a piece of cardboard and I'll push down so that the shaft will go through. That's number 2. All right. Number 3, if it's really quite difficult, I will hit it with my butane torch for 5 seconds, and only 5 seconds. And that just gets it malleable enough that it'll expand to allow it to slide on. That normally wins the day. All right, that normally wins the day a lot of times. Now, there used to be a tool out there that was a drill attachment that had a conical shape like this, and you would wrap sandpaper around it and you could work it in and out as much as that you needed. I never subscribed to that. Okay, I never subscribed to that. However, what I did subscribe to was, the hosel brushes, those hosel brushes you put in your drill. Okay, what I used to do on real difficult ones is I would put those things in my speed clamp, right? Because it has the rubber jaws and it would hold the ferrule in place, and I would run the whatever the appropriate size was in and out of there. And that would rough it up, but it would also take away some of the material and it would go through. So several techniques. You can use one, use them all. I have used a drill bit before too, but you want to be very, very careful. You just really slow, and allow it to go in, because you go fast. Number one, it's going to rip it right out of your hands. Number two, you don't want to use a pair of pliers because you're going to dent it. And number three, if it has a ring on it or a band, it'll probably come flying off. So very, very, very slow. All right, the best utility hybrid is Taylormade. Oh, the Grapper, yeah. It's the best of both worlds. That when that thing came out, man, a lot of people really enjoyed that club. And you are the first person to say those words in a span of what has it been, a couple of years now? But I'm glad they're still out there. Sunny V, what do you say, sir? In spite of the weather here, I'm still busy doing fittings and postseason equipment changes for folks up north. Looking forward to the next season. So are we. And that's good. I'm glad to see people are still being excited about, golfing. And we're seeing quite a bit of that, as a matter of fact. I will say, I mean, the standard issue season around here stops in October, and that's because deer season pops up and people get excited about hunting deer. And then in November it becomes Thanksgiving, and then December it becomes Christmas, and then the next month is paying bills. And also it's not very weather inducive either. However, and so our fittings trend that way. However, this year it's just been the opposite. We have been we are full up already through December and looking into January already. So it's been a real plus, and I appreciate every bit of it. I got Charles. If there's trees on the ground, that's safe. Just step around them if need be. You okay? There's Rob. How are you? Lost his great uncle in World War II. And there you go. That guy, that dude was a true submariner. I will cough it up, man. DBF right there. Those guys were a different sort. I was actually trained by a few guys, the last remaining diesel boaters, and they're a different breed. You want to talk about a different breed of man. Wow. Iron men and wooden decks, and that is the absolute truth. There we go. Darren says, thanks, no problem. And it is an addiction, buddy. Get ready. You know, uprooted and broke limbs. Well done, sir. Well done. All right, David's got a question. What do we got here, bud? When reshafting putters, do you have any go-to shafts, specifically if you need the stiffness? Also, how much difference would tip trimming make in a putter shaft? Thanks. Their GolfWorks, my GolfWorks has a series of shafts. Some of them are true temper. There is some KBS stuff out there that is very, very nice. And these are standards, right? I've never bought one of those stability shafts. Although I understand the idea behind it. Did a few of the UST shafts when they first came out, and people thought they were crazy, but they worked. Uh, and then KBS has now got that new one that's kind of fat at the top and thinner at the bottom, and those guys go that way. But as a whole, to stay in line with most of what we see, I get my stuff from GolfWorks, which tends to be either the True Temper or the KBS, and that's what I tend to work with. Now, if you are looking for a particular weight or a particular stiffness, again, but it depends. If it's an insert where the putter shaft goes into the head and not over the hosel, the Acra has a selection of graphite shafts that are quite surprising. They're very weight and stiffness like. You'd be really surprised some of the results you could get with that. Over the hosel type stuff, you're kind of limited. Now, what you can do is you get some of those like X-Flex pitch and wedge shafts, and then they won't fit, but you trim off that first 3/8 inch. You've just made it a little bit stiffer, which is okay, and it fits over the hosel. And that's where I would go. Seb, hi, can you explain how a 3-wood shaft is heavier than a driver shaft when more of it is cut from a 46-inch blank? Surely the 3-wood shaft is lighter, as is 2-inch shorter than the driver. Okay. Well, number one, Seb, when I'm doing fairway woods, I am trying to I will endeavor to use my my dealer in Acra who makes fairway wood shafts, and they come out heavier and they're made shorter. So I'm not doing exactly what you're talking about. Okay. Now, a couple of things. So if you go 10 grams heavier, let's just use 50 and 60 grams. Okay. So if your driver's 50 and you don't tip it and you put it in there and you trim off an inch, okay, and let's say each inch is a gram. So you've made your 50 gram a 48 inch or a 48 gram shaft. Just go with that. Okay. Now you have a 60 gram shaft and you tip it an inch, and that made it 45, and you're coming down and you go to 43 and a half, which obviously you're not getting all 43. You're not going down to that far. You're going to trim off. Let's see, you just made it. You went to 45. You're putting it in there, inch and a half. So you might come off of it 43, another 2 inches. So you took off 3 inches. And if you take, just like you're saying, 3 inches, right? And let's say that's 3 grams. So now you're at 60, you're at 57 grams. So you're still heavier, right? These amounts that you take off on each end, it's funny. There's a lot of meat at the tip, not so much at the butt. All right. So when you take off at the tip, you're more than likely going to take off more weight than you are at the backside. And so you're still going to be heavier. Are you going to be 10 grams heavier when you're using driver shafts? Probably not. But you're going to be heavier still, with the idea that that little bitty head is also going to weigh about 15 grams more than the driver. So the weight balance makes out. All right. Dave, back, practice putting every day. I have this sweet birdie ball putting mat. 100 yards in is the scoring window. What do you think of that birdie? Oh, the birdie ball. Is that? Yeah, the birdie ball. Is it kind of a light green kind of color? I was wondering about that. The My Golf Spy folks thought really highly of that thing. I was wondering how that really worked. Rob Ortiz, how are you, sir? Agree 100%. The driver's last come out of the bag at the range. Well, yep, me too. Past my prime. Beautiful day for golf Thursday. Beyond that, best I can report is that I didn't injure myself or anyone else on the course. Good for you, sir. Oh, here's a name. Bronson McNulty. Putting and chipping are the equalizers. I would agree, and I think you're in amongst a group that would also agree with you, sir. Krister says, I find out that there is two tour adapters for Callaway, green and red. Yes, there are, and I found that out too. Green, you can get a -2 instead of 1. Red gives you a flatter lie, and you would be correct again, sir. And are they readily available? No. No, they are not. I've asked for those. When we talked about, I think it was you that told me about a green one, and I went back and I asked. And I asked about it, and yes, they acknowledged that there was a green one. As they came back around, the double black diamond head, we should have got one. The double black diamond is now going to be readily available. And then that's when these green and red adapters started popping up. So with nothing new from Callaway is going to show up until after January. So keep that in your back pocket, and let's go over that again after January and see whether or not I can abscond a few in order to see if that works or not, because it is very interesting. Jake, what are you doing, buddy? What club building school would you suggest to get started? Beyond a shadow of a doubt, Jake, I would recommend the Golf Works School in Newark, Ohio. Find yourself. They have 3 days and 1 week long schools, and it's kind of a bang for buck kind of thing. The further you're away, the longer I would stay, and that way you get more bang for your buck. There's a truckload of information that gets thrown at you from every school. You end up building something, I'm sure, and they have a couple of hitting bays where you hit out onto the range. It's a very, very nice setup. And then when it's all said and done, they actually, if history shows that you end up with a bit of a discount if you wanted to buy some stuff on a one-time deal. So it's a win-win-win. And but they look in their catalog because they have a shaft school, they have a club making club, and they have a club fitting school, all kinds of stuff. At one point, they had a master's class of which I attended. Ton of fun, absolute ton of fun. They don't have it anymore, but it was fun. Thinking of getting one of them. I have a driver set to 8 degrees. How much would center drive ladder affect the driver? As far from a swing weight point of view, not much, Krister. In order for you to actually see a swing weight, you got to get into that 3-4 degree category. The flatter, if you have a flat swing plane, that flatter will look extraordinarily better to you when you get there. It's funny how that little bit of a change works. Seymour Rep, what launch monitor simulator am I using? I am using the Flight Scope X3. That is the one. That's my simulator or my launch monitor of choice. The simulator, I have E6, but I have not been able to put it on, and I've not had the opportunity. So I'm kind of hoping that one of these days I'm going to be able to get it started. But that's what we use. We selected a radar unit a long time ago. Now, when I started doing this, there was only 2 types of units available: a picture taker, which would take a snapshot of the ball from point A to point B, and it would calculate launch angles and things like that and work backward. But it only recorded the ball. So I had a launch monitor that was on a ball. Then I had something that was very much like it was called a Bingston in the day, and it's called an OptiShot now. And that captures what the club is doing. And then Texas Instruments had a computer that went into the back end of the club, and it would show swing planes and things like that were going on. So I had 3 computers running in order to make all this go. And then all of a sudden out came this radar unit, and this radar unit would track almost all of this stuff in one package. So I got that and ditched all the other stuff and started with that. And then and then what they did is there's a big run on radar units. So TrackMan showed up. It was called Velocity at the time. And then the Flight Scope showed up. And so I got on board a Flight Scope, and this was years and years and years ago. And the folks at Flight Scope have been top notch with me. It's not over the top, it's still expensive for what I get, but at the time, a TrackMan was in the $40,000 range, and I just didn't see it. And but these guys have been very, very good to me. And then here, as of late, Foresight has shown up with the picture taker / radar. And although what I will give a nod to Foresight on that is that their graphics and their interaction is it's top notch. Is it a number? There'll be arguments on whether or not it sees a real number or not, or captures if radar doesn't do as good. I would argue that point. But as long as it's steady reading, then it's all good. All right. Christopher Bertha, I know how much. Okay. What do we got here? Al's back. What do you say, Al? How's the Space Coast? Nick Brunyard, how are you? From Germany. Well done, sir. How are you? Do you know of any reason why Ping doesn't offer more than a blue 2-up lie angle on their crossovers, and would it be possible to bend it to 4-up? Woo-wee! Well, I would say I have seen in the irons that I've seen as much as, was it 4 or 5 in irons? I've had guys come in here 4 or 5 degrees upright. That is crazy. And for no other reason that they didn't want to change the length of the club. If you're talking about their crossovers, meaning something like a hybrid or a hybrid iron, the 2-up is probably from a manufacturing SKUs perspective. And what they would do is they would, if you've ever seen Ping bend anything, they hold the head. They'll hold the head like this and leave the back end exposed, and they'll hit it with a hammer. And the guys that do it are very skilled. And could you get to 2 more on most of their stuff? If it was cast to 2-up, could you get 2 more? I'm going to say probably could. If it was cast and they'd already bend it to 2-up to get where they need to, then no. Could you bend it yourself? I don't know if you have the right bending tools, because again, if we're talking hybrids or even hybrid irons, there's a real opportunity to cave the head because it's only made of a Kevlar, all right, or a carbon fiber, and they don't take well to pressure. They just very structurally stiff, but they don't take a lot of pressure, and so I would really, really watch out for something like that. Willard, yes, thanks. On Doctor's Release, yes. After first on Dash Doctor, he gave me a time frame. All right. Very good. All righty. Rob Ortiz, I've had 2 rotator cuff surgeries last 6 months before swinging again. You have to get over the mental part. I'm still, yeah. You do. You do. 150 yards it in, buddy. That's David Pels. He wants you to be lethal inside 150. When he did his tracking in his book, the two books he put out, he found a distinction right at about the 150 line. Now it could be that they were tour pros and that's what you were seeing, but he made distinction that once you're inside 150, well, that's where most of your golf is at. I did not. What considerations would one make when deciding on what length to play a single length iron set at? Well, Patrick, that's actually a very important that's important number to have. So I will in Washon or the Sterlings or the NXQ NQXs. He designed his to be 8 irons. Okay, 8 irons. However, with being extended to a 7 iron, not too bad. And I've made him as long as 6 iron length. He doesn't like it, but we did anyway. So the Cobras and the other guys all like their clubs. They're designed around a 7. And why a 7? Well, everybody, whenever you say what's your favorite club, the largest percentage of people out there will say it's the 7 iron. So they just automatically went with the 7. Not that it was or wasn't. That was just based on what people were telling them. So that's what they designed. Now, if you find yourself, then I would start with the 7 and work either way. Okay. Now, what does that mean? So if you're playing clubs that you've been fitted to that are half-inch over, I would probably go to a 6 iron length. If you were fitted to clubs that were a half-inch shorter, I'd probably go shorter and go from there. That's what I would do. Now, what I do here is I have a 6 iron and a 9 iron at a particular length, and we will have them grasp to whatever they like, and I'll have them hit them both in order to test to see even if the single length would work, so that you would create a certain distance between my irons. I am trying to extend my leg here. There we go. All right. Mike Engel says he wants a Sun Mountain bag. And, buddy, I'm here to tell you from what we're being told from our representative, if you see one that you like, and this is no joke and not a sales thing, if you see one that you like and it's a newer one out there, get it. All right? Get it. Because from what we understand, the largest portion of their stock is already sold. And they have not mentioned whether or not they're restocking. And that's a scary thing. What's Kent want? A swing would be nice. Yes, it would. A home simulator. I think those would be neat, Rob. I've got the makings for it, but that if you look at a lot of the man caves, particularly if your simulator can double as a TV, dude, that's a win-win. All you need is a refrigerator, a bar, a good shelf to hold extra stuff, and a restroom, and you're there. There we go. MMT shaft for my driver. You said that was what you found last week. That's pretty impressive. Yep. That's well, you're a pretty aggressive guy. That pretty much is the way it would work out. So I'd say that's another good work. All right. Mike Zuloff. Thanks for the vids and your service. Well, Mike, thank you very much for coming on here. Chromesoft Trueviz golf balls, Matt. I'm wondering if Mommy's watching this or not. Which color are we looking for? We got, you got the white and the red. You got the green and the black. You got the special ones out there that have got the clovers on them. Sometimes you get the USA. Which one is the one for you? Oh, they got white and red. Don't forget those guys. And I believe there's another one out there. But there's all kinds of special ones. It's Chromesofts and TP5. So what do you? So Kent, you're the first guy to show me something like that, so I have something to compare it to. What's the TP5 feel like in comparison to the Chromesoft? I know what the Chromesoft feels like, and guys in TP5s, it's basically a love-hate relationship. They either love them to death or they'll never use them ever again. What is it? What do they? Are they similar or are they significantly different? How do I join so I can submit questions, not send emails? I think all you have to do is subscribe, bud. All right. No golf for us next year. So what? No golf show for us next year. So Christmas will be all about the Trueviz. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. Yep. JS Golfer, what's going on? And I like the rock. You never know what the heck he's cooking. Hope you're doing good. We are, sir, and thank you. Hopefully you are as well. The OG number 7, their number 1 putter. Hey, dude, that is definitely the way to go. And a Sun Mountain golf bag. Man, I hope Devin's on here watching this. He's going to say, whoa, we got to do that. Danny Nance, what do you say, sir? Hopefully all that's working good. What is my rule of thumb for fitting for shaft flex? Do you have any advice? Well, to not sound like a total complete boob, my rule of thumb is get fit and then we use swing speed, the way you load the shaft, the way you release the shaft. There's 3 or 4 items that it really does take in order to get fit or find the right flex. And then once you get the right flex, it's also about the right weight. So there's a combination that goes on there in order to find the right everything. However, if you don't have it, just, bottom line is, if you're hitting a driver and you're carrying out to say around 245, 250, you're in the S flex. Underneath that to about 220, you're an R flex, and underneath that, you're an A flex. That's a roundabout way of looking at it. Or if your 150 yard club is around an 8 iron, you're probably an S flex. Still wearing shorts year round, Jim. You are the man. Very good. Big Al, there he is. Windy Dublin, or Dublin. Sorry for the loss, Jim and Robin. Yes, he was a very good dog, and we miss him terribly. The little dog, I think, is kind of coming around now. She's coming back out of her shell. She's taking watch for us, and she's doing okay. I played last Sunday, shot an 81 4 birdies and 2 money. Oh, and a 2. Nice. 82. Nice. Well done, buddy. Well done. Did you get out? Have you ever played? Last time I was only out there once. So saying the last time is just like saying, well, when I was out there, we played Drumorland Castle, and we saw a bunch of folks. It was a bartenders league playing, and they're all from Dublin. And it was a great time talking with them. They're a great bunch of people. What a man. I've been playing in the 30s. Woo-wee. 40 years in the artillery got me 2 new hips and 1 new knee. Golfing about 75% speed 2 months after each hip replacement, but took longer after the knee. There you go, sir. 40 years in artillery. I didn't mean that as a shell either. Good for you, and thank you for the service, sir. So no snow, but 40. Yeah, that 40 degrees. Are you getting lake effect stuff? We're playing in the 30s. Charles Deb is wrapped up, and I'm still in shorts. But you do wear a beanie. You gotta keep the head warm, buddy. Rob just purchased a full set of recoiled Dart F2s from the B21s. What do you think about these shafts? We'll be replacing the RCH F3s. Rob, I totally and thoroughly enjoy the recoiled darts. I think they're a very, very good shaft. I've always liked UST. I've liked UST recoils when they first came out. I was a tour spec dealer, so I got the stuff that was on tour. Years into the manufacturer, they started kind of losing steam and quality, and we decided not to continue with them. However, the Dart shaft has been a real comeback shaft for these guys. I like the ion plating, I like the design, and I like the performance. I think they've really found something again. Camilio, there you go. Nice. Thank you, sir. Well done. I appreciate it. 83 on the Space Coast. Man, oh man, oh man. I can tell you everybody in this way north is jealous as all get out. Still using the TM Rescue 19. Nobody's improved on that one for me. You know, I'm kind of like that too, Ken. If I ever find, I've got an Epic and what would be my two, and it's a 19. Is it 19 or 18? It's an 18. That thing just can't come out of the bag. And I've had that for quite a while. I'm very, very, I like holding on to it. It's got war wounds on it, but it still works. Krister, how common is it with hybrids with iron shafts? You ever fitted someone with an iron shaft in a hybrid? Yeah. What they'll do is there's very few specific hybrid shafts out there, Krister, and what you're going to find is there's probably a select go-to types. Recoil ES is one of them. Catalyst did it the same thing. They kind of followed that same trend. They were starting to do that. Nowadays, since the popularity, the graphite shaft manufacturers are starting to add on, and basically it's an iron shaft with a little bit more torque added onto it so that it can take that same swing. Double D's got an 8 iron that needs reshafting. 3 doesn't fit in the hosel. Are there smaller shafts that fit, or does the head need reaming? Well, it depends on your iron, bud. There were smaller ones back in the day. We'll go back as far as super old Hogans, things like that. And you got to go way back. And they were called 277s, and they were very, very thin. However, if it's 70s or newer, I'm getting the thing here. If it's 70s or newer, chances are that you might need to just abrade the shaft tip in order to get it in, or ream it out, or clean it out very, very well in order to make it work. Just tested a JPX High Fly with a taper light, and it felt great. It was an anti-left hybrid, hard for to hit left. I liked it. So the High Fly is also a club that's made to be the length of that particular iron as well. It's not longer. So typically when you see a 4 hybrid, it's inches longer than a 4 iron. But in these High Flies, if you had a 4, it should be the 4. And it is very, very up. It's not very, very up, but it's a nice shape. It's very round, symmetrical, and it does get up in the air. Charles, the birdie ball mats are good. You can get them set up in different speeds. Oh, okay. Ah, yes, it was. Okay. Yeah, we did find out that that's what they do, and they do have them. But at the end of this year, I might make it a mission to at least get one of each. That'd be kind of fun just to say I got them. All right. Got 2 more here. J.D. Livingston. I built my last 2 sets of 1-length clubs. I spined the shaft and cut them to 6 iron length. Per Golfworks chart, I'm 1 inch 6'4". How truly important do frequency on each club? Thanks for the information. Well, you're asking a guy who does this for quite a bit, JD. Is it important? Well, I would say yes, it is. Uh, you want all your flexes to be within a range, right? That's where we get mixed up when we take things to an extreme. In that, we have to have it this flex. Well, there's a bit of a range, and then when you find that range, then you've got to give yourself a tolerance, because not every you're at the mercy of the shafts that you get. So if you're within a quarter of a flex, is that okay? Yeah, that's plenty fine. If you're outside of a flex, that things start getting kind of dicey at that particular point. Look at these guys who start getting it. Look up I am McGolf. IAMCGOLF. Rob Neath. Here we go. D2 good swing weight to start with a 5 through 8. Yes, it is. That's actually starting to become standard. Kyle Ledbetter. Look, here's we're getting some names here at the end. Is there any way to add 10 to 15 grams of head weight to a CLK hybrid besides lead tape? Well, you'd have to take it apart, Kyle. Have to take it apart and then put it into and then put in the shaft. 10 grams max, 15 no, 10, yeah, that's the maxed out. All righty, we'll leave it on Kent talking with us. Debbie loves teasing me about how old I am, but I told her I'm not old, she's young. There you go. I love your attitude, buddy. All right, with Kent, that gets us down to the very end, so we're pretty good to go. Whoa, we just got a whole bunch that just jumped in here. Let me see. A little click here, a little harder. Okay. There's Teresa. How you doing, kiddo? Cuz, what's up? It's my cousin down in Florida. Let's see if we get any more in here. All right. Kyle, context in the hybrids. I'm shortening my 2 hybrid by 1.5 inches for super low launch, low spin wind club. Okay. Well, if you got the CLK and you want to keep it out of the wind, I would adjust it down the 2 degrees that you're allowed to do, and that would probably help you out just as much. Yep. Yeah, some of them there's some models that are really good. When they started getting fancy with ES and all those different, I just don't know. But with I think what happened with the idea of the dart, that they started making everything else better. So I wouldn't sweat it too bad, Rob. Last one. Here we go. We went from Kent in England to James in Scotland. Thank you, sir. What are your thoughts on the Mizuno optimizer tools? I don't know of any other tool that measures shaft iron loading. Iron shaft loading. How do politically correct can I be here, James? There is another tool out there that does measure shaft load. I just can't tell you if they were in business anymore. And they measured the swing. There was another one way back in the day that measured the load, and it would click at the very end, but nothing as fancy as the optimizer tool. I have my differences of opinions with the optimizer tool as a whole. I think if you wanted to know a parameter or two, I think it has its place. But for it to tell you everything you need to know, no, I'm not on board with that. I mean, they're talking about telling you what the lie angle is because it can measure your club in 3D space. Well, that's grand, but I don't need it in 3D space. I need it at impact. And that's where I get with that. It does have certain pluses on it. I just would be very wary of all the information that it provides. There. All righty, bud. So that takes us to the end of it. So the very again, like and subscribe if you will. Watch for the video tomorrow. It will be out there. And again, all over the world, again, thank you guys for taking the time to ask the questions. And I know you guys in the UK are up late, and I thank you for that. And again, guys and gals, let's see your scores. Go low.